Zimbabwe, and welcome to yet another constructive episode of Build Construct. My name is Charlene Mangweni. On this show, we focus on the latest trends in the building and construction industry. Last week on the show, we focused on how to come up with an effective housing plan. In case you missed our episode last week, or any of our episodes for that matter, no need to worry. You can log on to our Facebook page, that's Build Construct Zimbabwe, or you can tune into our YouTube channel, Build Construction. This week, we are going to be focusing on how to build your house using that very same effective plan you've been able to come up with using the information that we gave out to you last week. Now, Mr. Machibaya in our expert segment this week is going to be showing us how to do this, how to strategize, how to come up with that dream home. Remember, Zimbabwe, uhlelo ngolwenyu, chirongwa ndechenyu. So keep your views and your comments pouring in.
The stages generally that follow thereafter is, I would say the owner is now almost getting ready to build it. The first thing, of course, is to get the plan approved by the relevant local authority. Where say, for example, if it's City of Harare, you then take your plan to City of Harare for submissions to your local authority offices. It will then be examined to make sure that everything is in order and in line with bylaws. Once approved, you have got an approved plan stamped by the local authority. It normally gives you a time frame within which to complete the project. Then, of course, you can go ahead and complete the project. But of course, before completing the project, once the plan is approved, it's important as the owner of the project to have a full understanding of the materials that you need. Therefore, you need to get a bill of quantities done, which is done by a quantity surveyor. And I recommend and emphasize the use of properly qualified quantity surveyors. What the bill of quantity basically does is it gives you two key points: the schedule of materials, otherwise what is it that you need to complete the house, and usually broken down into stages. For example, you need to know how many bricks go into your project, how many bags of cement, how many roof tiles, how many air vents, just to name a few. But otherwise, every piece of material that goes in is within the schedule of materials. Then with the schedule of materials, you can then have the priced bill of quantities, where the materials are now priced, so that you know what it's going to cost you in terms of purchasing the materials, which also can then be broken down to stage by stage of construction. And then, of course, labor is then factored in. You know what it is likely to cost you. This is now before you negotiate with whoever you are going to utilize to do the construction for you. Unless if you know what is going to require and what's going to cost you, you will know how exactly to plan your finances. And secondly, it enables you to hold whoever is doing your work accountable, because you know that you can now track and trace your materials. Otherwise, you are told we want 100 bags of cement. After a week, you are told they are finished, and you never know whether they have really been used there or some could have been stolen, because there's a lot of that, unfortunately, going in. Unless if you're an experienced person in construction, to where you can say, no, I know how far it goes. Secondly, sometimes materials may not be stolen, but the application of materials may just be done in such a manner that it's not cost effective. Otherwise, there is no quality control. For example, there's a certain level acceptable for plastering thickness. If your builders plaster 1.5 times more the acceptable level, it means more pit set, it means more water, more cement, and more labor. So it's going to cost you more, and you can't really know where the materials are going. But with a bill of quantity and correct inspection, you are able to arrest those potential leakages either through pilferage or through inappropriate, inefficient application of construction materials. Well, subject to the size of the project, there are certain projects that, because of their size is being big, I would advise you where you can actually do a credit check and ask to see the projects that have been undertaken in the past. If it's a smaller project, you can identify individual builders or small contractors that you can use. Again, it's important that you really check on the credit worthiness of the contractor that you are picking. If it's an individual person, it's important to establish that indeed they are a builder, because a lot of people claim to be builders and yet they are not. Ask for their cards that show qualification. What grade are they? Is it grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4? If it's a grade 4 guy who is probably just qualified and he says, no, I'm able to peg the house and I'm able to build for you, you may be in for a storm and a big surprise, because he may not even know how to peg. He can show you a house that he was involved in as an assistant builder, and he claims that he built it. So it's important to speak with the actual owners of the houses that he is saying he has built, and just verify that the information that you are getting is indeed correct. Well, the next stage is get the guys on site and let them do the work, and stage by stage. And it's important to focus on stage by stage, in the sense that you don't want to run out of money in the middle of a stage. For example, let's suppose you've got funds to build up to maybe window level. It may be appropriate for you to allocate your resources to build up to slab level, complete everything, and stop. And gather enough resources to move from brickwork from slab level straight to wall plate level. Wall plate level means the whole brickwork structure on the property is done. You are now ready to put your trusses and proceed with the project. Whatever it is, if it's residential or industrial or commercial, that's basically what it would mean. So the stage planning is critical, because it then enables you to also see how the progress is going through. And it's important that you get and plan for a schedule of activities, meaning what activities are going to be running from day one, and which activities are going to be running concurrently. Like, for example, I'll start off saying the foundations. You are now putting in your slab. Your electricians will now need to come in and also put in their conduiting in the slab for plugs. Your plumbers will need to come in and put in their plumbing for the key, shower, traps and that kind of stuff. So it's important, otherwise you find people doing the slab and finishing, and then they realize that the electrician was not there to do what they were then supposed to do. Because once that part is coordinated well, you find that your project flows smoothly, and it is important to get hold of that. Otherwise, happy building, let's continue building. Remember, invest in a property, you invest in your future. It's a generational asset, and we need to build and build well. Quality is a must, and we can't live any other way otherwise. Thank you.